Today we're looking at a category of verbs called stem changing verbs. And basically what happens with these verbs is that when you go conjugate them, you don't only have to change the ending, dropping the AR, ER, and IR and replacing it with the endings in the chart, but you also have to remember to make some changes within the stem of the verb. In these verbs, the final vowel of the stem is going to change for all forms except the nosotros and the vosotros form. So, and if you're not sure what the stem of the verb means, it basically just means everything that comes before the AR, ER, or IR. There are 3 different categories. There will be some verbs where the final E in the stem will change from the E to an IE. The second category is O to UE, and the third category is E to I. For the E to I category, these are the verbs that fall in that category. Comenzar, which means to begin, and empezar, which also means to begin. And again, it's important to remember that it's the final vowel of the stem, because there are some stems, like empezar, that have 2 E's in the stem. So you have to remember it's the final one. It's this one, okay, for empezar. So when you conjugate it, this is going to change to an IE. Okay. Another verb is entender, pensar, preferir, querer, and recomendar. Here's an example of how you would conjugate recomendar. The stem changing verbs are often called shoe verbs or boot verbs because when you conjugate, you change everything except nosotros and vosotros. So if you're looking at your chart, all the forms that change, if you draw a line around them, it creates the illusion of a little shoe or a boot. Okay, so that's why we call them shoe verbs, and that's one good way to remind yourself that you need to make the stem changes inside the shoe, and then anything that gets left outside of the shoe does not change. So you have recomiendo instead of recomendo. Okay, so the E here for recomendar changed to an IE here. Recomiendas, recomienda, recomendamos, here it didn't change, it stayed E. Recomendáis stays E, and then it changes in the final plural. Recomiendan. Okay. Another category is the O to UE. So verbs like contar, costar, encontrar, poder, and recordar. These will change to a UE on all of those O's. Jugar falls under this category. You learned this in Spanish 1. There is no O in the stem, but it does conjugate with a UE instead of just the U. So we put it in this category as well. Here's an example of an O to UE conjugation with poder. Remember, this means to be able or can. So I am able, yo puedo. Tú puedes. Usted, él, ella puede. Back here, no stem change, podemos, no stem change, podéis, and then we change again down here, pueden. Our final category is the stem change from E to I. So the following verbs have that change: conseguir, decir, pedir, repetir, seguir, servir, and vestir. When you conjugate these, those E's will change to an I. Here's an example for pedir. Yo pido. Tú pides. Usted, él, ella pide. Here you don't stem change. Pedimos, pedís, and piden. It's important to remember that there will be some irregular yo verbs that still apply to stem changing verbs. So for example, with seguir or decir, the yo form is sigo and digo. You see the stem change, right? Decir would be E to I, but there's also some extra stuff that goes into the stems, so don't forget that. Okay, we'll give you a little time to practice with these, and hopefully if you need help, you can always refer back to this video.